Okay, I call this special meeting of the Washington County Budget and Finance Committee to order. Since I didn't ask anybody, I'll take the honor of doing the prayer and the pledge this evening. Please bow with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening and ask for your grace and blessing on this meeting. Please be with us as we work through the business of the county. Please allow us to work together, open ears and open minds on what we need to do and the best decisions for the employees of Washington County and the citizens. I ask that you be with our country as we continue to grapple with the pandemic and make wise decisions. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Item number 3 is adoption of the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda? I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
So moved by J.P. Simons, seconded by J.P. Ussery. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Budget is adopted. Before we get started, so tonight this is kind of the format we're going to go through. We have several of the elected officials and judges and things here. If you guys see fit, I'd like to relax some of the formality and the rules a little bit on the committee to have more of a workshop environment to work through these budgets. If that's okay with you guys, and we can all cooperate together, and if not, we'll go back to the formality and the rules. But I don't want anybody to feel limited on the questions they can ask or the times that they can speak, because I know organically through this review, you might hear something that piques another question, and I want everybody to feel free to learn as much from these officials that are coming before us. I want to remind everyone that there are guests to this committee, and this is not just to learn about the budget, but also I want the people here to feel free to share about what you're seeing on the ground and what you see in the future, and just help us learn about what we can do to help you. So with that, we'll get right into it. A small update. I'm working to get some numbers from Johansson Group on the compensation. I know we're all really, really interested in that. I think they're really close to delivering something, and of course we'll work in concert with the personnel committee. I think we have the opportunity to do some really exciting and big things for the employees this year, and that's one of my goals, and I've said it I've said it all along, and I know that takes a little longer. I promised to do that on the front end of the budget. We're still working on it. There's a lot of moving pieces to that. I just want you guys to know there's some things going on in the background, and we hope to have some numbers to bring to you guys very soon. With that, let's get started. Treasurer Hill.
Is that working? Okay. Well, I'm first up. Don't really know what's going on, so we'll just get started on page 277. I'll go through them real quick, and then, of course, you can ask whatever you'd like. This is my general fund budget. It's only personnel, only myself and the chief deputy. And this year, if you look at the bottom, it's minus. It's down 3.5% from last year. The reason for that is my longtime chief deputy left, so I promoted somebody else. Of course, the less pay for the new position, but that's the reason the payroll is down. Look over at 280. This is my treasurer's automation budget. Of course, we're allowed to use this for anything that any legal expense at the treasurer's office can come out of this, and we can take up to 10% of our gross commissions, but I generally take 5 to 6%, and everything else goes back to the taxing entities on a pro rata basis. I'm down to my non-personal services, went up 2.2% overall, though I'm 9% below last year. The only increases, I believe, is general supplies with just a little bit more. Other professional services, $500 more than last year, and stamps are going up, so postage, I increased it just a little bit. But other than that, everything is right at where it was last year, or maybe a little below. And I can entertain any questions. Mine's not overly complicated, so.
That's why we rolled out with you first.
Do
Maybe
what?
give us a softball, the first one, right? That's why we
Yeah,
had you
exactly
go
right.
first. Any questions from any of the JPs? JP Ussery?
Thank you. On the automation fund, is there any, how does the money that came in this year compare to what came in last year?
On my treasurer's commission, which this is based on 10%, treasurer's commission went up this year compared to last year. Just most of it's from all the sales tax, extra sales tax that we've gotten in, and property taxes went up. So that 2% really increases, but it's better than it was last year.
Okay, and then one other question that I have for you as we're going through this, that in the book I saw where we have the revenue, projected revenue for 2021. Is there a document in there that compares that to what the revenue projector or the projected revenue for 2021 looks like now that we're this far into it?
There's projections for 2022 in there.
Right. But what I'm saying is there a projection for 2021? Because I'm just trying to get a feel for where we're going to be next year compared to where we are this year.
I don't think that's in the book, but I can certainly get it to you.
If you could, I think that would help me.
I'll send both of them to everybody, and I'll be working on some updates. It's looking good in general fund, probably going to get more in the carryover pile, but that remains to be seen. But I'll get those to you.
I just think that would help us to know how much we have to work with at the end of the year. And then the last thing is I really do appreciate you taking your fund and just spreading it out the way that you did, showing us what the different things that it goes to. I appreciate that.
You betcha.
Thank you.
JP Wilson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to clarify, you did say that you could take 10% for commissions, but you're taking something less.
10% of the gross commissions. Like last year, I had a little over $2 million in commissions, and I could take $200,000 of that, but I didn't take near that much. So,
Is there a set number you use each year?
no, it just depends on. I built it up since I became treasurer. I've tried to build it up a little bit in case something, I don't know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to come back and try to get it out of the general fund, so I have it sitting there. But once I got a little base built up, then I just bring in what I think I'm going to budget and then send the rest back to.
So you don't have a standard number that you use?
No, it just depends.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Thanks, Treasurer Hill.
Thank you.
In previous years, I want to say too that we've passed these budgets as we went along, and I'm not a fan of that. So what I'm going to do is I want to review all these budgets and get all the way through them, and we'll pass them at the end at a final meeting. I think it's only fair that we look at and evaluate the budgets as a whole before we start passing individual budgets. So with that, we have the honor of having County Collector Wood here. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. Okay, so I'm asking for a little bit of money in my automation. Every salaries is all that comes out of the general, and some of my salaries do come out of my automation fund. But I am looking to replace some computers out of my automation fund, and hoping to do a renovation at Springdale to expand my department so that with some of our money out of our automation, we want to do the expansion because the assessor's office has 4 clerks and we only have 2 clerks up there, and there's no room to put another clerk up there. And so in order to do that, we have to expand so that we can keep up with them. And we've kind of put that off for the last 3 years, not doing it. But, I mean, there's a lot of growth in Springdale, and we really need that up there. So, and especially with the revenue offices cutting their hours, you know, the longer we are in there, then the longer the revenue office has to stay in there too. The later we stay, the later they stay. So I need to move somebody else up there. I have a position for it. I don't need to hire somebody else to go up there. I just need to make room for that person.
So you're saying the overall cost will just be the physical bricks and mortar, if you will, of adding on to that?
Yes. Okay. And then we need to replace our computers. There's 28 of them. And we've had several start crashing, but we're trying to limp along until we can update those, hopefully next year.
You're going to cut down the wait time at the DMV?
I wish. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
So in your letter, both the build out and the computers, you can take care of that out of your automation fund?
Yes, sir. And also, I do want you guys to know that we are trying to re-rate some of our jobs for next year, but they haven't went to JSAP yet. And so that's why I didn't put them in the letter, is because we haven't went to JSAP with those yet. And we're hoping to go next month with those.
That's good. Yeah. And I think we're going to see some considerable changes in the salary ranges anyway. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would hope that everybody might work in concert with that and see what effect that has.
Yeah. We haven't re-rated our jobs in 7 years. Mm-hmm. So they need to be re-rated.
Right.
So.
Any questions for Collector Wood? Okay. Thank you so much for coming. Oh, wait. JP Essery?
Just one comment, and I'm going to make this to everybody, but I noticed that there are a number of people that are looking at replacing computers, and my suggestion is, you may already be doing this, is that you replace so many each year so you don't get caught in a position where you've got machines that are going down, but you're kind of staying ahead of the curve. That, you know, it works for police cars, it works for buying school buses, and computers, it's the same way. You're probably already doing that, but I just thought I would mention that.
Yes, sir. We want to replace some next year and then start just replacing them slowly.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Justice Rio Stafford?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mike had a couple quick questions. One was about the computers as well. What are y'all, just out of curiosity, what are y'all currently using and what are you looking to upgrade to?
We're using Dell that the IT department has ordered for us. And they usually order our computers for us.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then I guess just real quick for, the people who are watching this meeting, the members of the public, could you kind of just quickly explain what is the automation fund?
Well, the automation fund is where we can take up to 10% of our collections, and that is what we can use to pay for what we need for the office. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Collector Wood.
Thanks.
We appreciate you being here. County Clerk Llewellyn, how are you?
Good, how are you guys?
Good. Thanks for coming this evening.
Sure. Okay, I didn't print the book, so I don't know what page things are on.
99, I believe.
So start with my general fund. I have nothing other than salaries out of my general fund. I do have an increase this year because it's an election year, so my part-time and my overtime, they're going to go up because we're going to be here on Saturdays, we're going to be here at 6, so we have to do that. For my automation is our funds that we've collected in our office. And mine's a little bit different. So 30% is supposed to be used on the acquisition and maintenance of automated services. But maintenance is kind of, there can be many things that are considered maintenance. Let's see. The other fund that I have is the County Clerk's Cost Fund, and that is just $2 from every marriage license that we issued gets into that fund. It's not a very large fund, and it's just, we use it for small equipment and general supplies. So if you guys have any questions.
Any questions for County Clerk Llewellyn? JP Duncan?
Forgive my ignorance, just looking at item 2005 on the operating fund, the food total supplies. I was just looking at that line item and curious what that's for, and I may have missed it in the explanation here.
Oh, the food line item?
Yes.
Was one that was used many years in the past, but then that was an item of contention that we got rid of. So we don't use that anymore.
Okay, because there still is a budget then for 2022 of 15,000.
That's the total of the fund.
Oh, that's a summation
Yep.
of, okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank
you
you.
for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you.
Circuit Clerk Sylvester.
Good evening again. Okay, so this next year's budget, we were able to do some trimming. On my general budget, we were able to have a decrease in operating costs taken out of that particular budget by about $13,500. The recorder's cost fund, checking with the vendors that we utilize, there's going to be some very small increases. So we increased a few line items just to budget for that. As far as file storage, leasing copiers and stuff like that, there's going to be small increases. So we increased some for that. This year we put $50,000 into. Let's see, what line item is that? It would have been the 4,000 in capital outlay, 4,002 in buildings. We got part of our renovation done last year during the shutdown. The issue I'm having with finishing it out is we've got large rolling file cabinets in the back area. And since just about everybody's gone electronic, there's really no need for people to buy rolling file cabinets. So I've checked with many counties at our Circuit Clerks Association conferences, and I've tried to see if anybody had any interest in them. I thought Craighead County was going to take them, but they seemed that they said they didn't have the room for them in their circuit clerk's office. So not real sure what I'm going to do there. I need to get some legal counsel. The worst thing I want to do is have them taken out and scrapped because they're very useful. I mean, it would just be metal, taken to a scrap yard, and I just don't want to do that. I want to continue to try and find somebody that could utilize those, whether it's a school or maybe one of the police departments for, evidence storage. So if I'm not able to finish out that project this year, I may be coming back and asking for some capital outlay money in 2022 so we can finish that project. But outside of that, our budget's pretty flat. I think on the overall, between both budgets, we were able to go down $50,000 in.
Yeah, that's not flat. Give yourself more credit than that.
Sir?
I said, that's not flat. Give yourself more credit than that.
Well,
Again, right?
I mean, as big as some of these budgets are. But I think, and being able to go down $50,000 in operating expenses, even with the small increases, that we're expecting from the vendors. Hopefully, if we do have to come back and ask for capital outlay next year, it would probably be that same amount. So we kind of would be flat at that point.
I like the long-term the perspective there. So
I try and plan about 5 years out.
Good.
So with that, I'll entertain any questions you may have.
JP Simons, hit your mic.
If I remember right, when I was viewing the budgeting process last year as a prospective candidate for this seat, I believe you came back after the budget had been approved and voluntarily decreased your budget even more to help make room for employee raises. So to see you come back yet again with additional cuts and efficiencies, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the circuit clerk? Thank you, sir.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you coming.
Yes, sir.
And giving us the opportunity. Coroner Morris. Welcome, sir. Thank you for
Welcome.
coming
Thank
this evening.
Wearing masks because we're hot down there. If anybody's seen UAMS, they're actually saying the next 2 months are going to be probably as bad or worse than January. And for me to keep my budget at $6,200 just over what it was last year, I'm happy, if I read that right.
Go over with us where you're increasing there a little bit. I saw that it looks like your personnel is basically holding steady. You've got a little bit more in the supplies and stuff like that. General supplies, walk us through that. That looks like where your increase is. What are you seeing there? We're just wanting to learn about what's
On our general supplies, that's right now it's because of COVID, and if it'll decrease towards the end of the year, I can come back and lower that. But like I say, I'm predicting kind of out in the future right now.
right.
Because if I need bags, I can't go budget committee back here, wait 30 days before I can get some. So that's kind of where that is. But if we can see a drastic decline towards the end of the year, it'll really help us out a lot.
Great.
And on this, you're going to see a deal here, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you about it. I was going to kind of keep it quiet for a little bit. But you're seeing our part-time pay there? Because I'll take any suggestions on that. I've been keeping part-time to a real minimum because of what's been going on. And because most of our part-time individuals that we do have is elderly. And I just assume not put them in that. And we're going to break 3,000 this year, deaths countywide. And, last year we did 28.7, something like that. And then the year before that, it was like probably 24, 25. So we are definitely seeing a big increase, even without COVID. I mean, this year, I think COVID, we're at 172 So even if you take those out, we're seeing a big increase in our deaths. And our guys and I, we just aren't getting any time off. You know, so what I'm wanting to do with that, and I was going to wait and see how the next 4 months went to see what's going on, is instead of touching general fund, I'd like to use that to make one more full-time position and move my office manager to office manager / deputy coroner, which will allow her to help me with death certificates. Because our paperwork, it's almost to the point now where we're going to have, I told you this before, an administrative end and an investigation end. Because with CDC, ADH, lawyers, insurance companies, the news, Democrat, we're getting FOI'd right and left, you know, and then slapped with lawsuits, things we're handling in-house. So it's taken away from our being able to go out and actually work our desk the way we should, because we're spending too much time trying to answer all these FOIs. And by doing this with another employee, it's going to allow me to be able to give the guys time off, because the guys are working 24 on, 24 on, 24 on until it's a weekend. We have one taking off during the weekend and one taking off 2 days during the week. And this will allow us to pretty much meet HR standards. But by doing it the way I'm looking at it, it'll still come out of my budget except for their benefits. But, you know, you didn't put that out yet. I mean, as far as that part of it, this part of it's just supplies.
I appreciate you bringing it up, because this is exactly the things that we need to hear, so we can keep that in mind.
But see, well, I was thinking I'm trying to do the best I can, but if you notice everything I've ever done, I've tried to bring out of my own budget.
And,
So
you know, I appreciate you keeping your budget as low as possible. I can only speak for myself, but I would think that with your responsibilities in the line of work you're in, you're directly impacted. You're very much eligible for some of the, you know, American Rescue Plan money to help your office out. So
Yes, sir.
I would appreciate you keeping your budget the way it is.
Will.
And then as you continue to evaluate it over the next few months, let us know, and we'll try to do what we can. I don't want you guys to work yourselves, you know, too much, and I want you to have the resources you need for that office. So you just let us know, and we'll bring it to the committee and see what the committee thinks.
I greatly appreciate that, really do. And like I say, you know, when we see what's going on with this, maybe we can adjust it down in other areas. So I'll help you out too.
That's great. Appreciate it. Any questions for Coroner Morris? Thank you, sir. We appreciate you.
You bet. Y'all be safe, and thank you for the trailer thing. That's going to be good.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you. Judge Taylor, how are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Thank you for being here. Book straight.
All right. As you can see, I've increased my budget just a little bit this year. The main reason, one reason, is that I got a new copier, and the expenses are a little bit higher. It has a color feature on it, which makes it a lot better for doing graphs and presentations, and for knowing exactly what something really looks like. So that's a small increase. I do note that on note 1, it says court reporter leaving and will need to purchase new equipment. That is what I thought at the time that the budget was created. It turns out that the new court reporter who is coming on has her own equipment, just like my court reporter who left had her own equipment. So we're not going to have a big outlay for that. Obviously, there are no set amounts that were put in the budget for that. It's just anticipated, but I don't anticipate having to do that again anymore. I did increase my computer and IT equipment budget. We have limped along for a year at least with my trial court administrator's computer, which was going down almost weekly and having to be worked on by IT. Well, so we finally replaced that one. She has a new computer now, and hopefully we're not going to have those problems. I don't know if it's a programming problem. I don't know exactly what the problem is, but we just get what IT tells us to get, or we tell them we need it, and then they order what they think we need. So, and I had honestly thought over the years that IT would come to us and tell us it's time to replace a computer, and then it's time to replace another computer, and we could do that on a rolling system. But I don't think they do that, actually. So I think we actually have to request. But I don't know if we're going to have any more requests for any more IT equipment. But $2,000 seemed like a reasonable amount to put in for computer equipment. I increased the fire and extended coverage budget just to cover the amount that was spent in 2020. And I've already talked about the new copier. So, do you have any questions? Our budget's pretty lean and mean. We try not to spend any money that we don't have to, just to keep things going.
I think you're good.
All right.
I really appreciate you being here tonight, giving us the opportunity to ask questions.
Well, thank you, and call me anytime you have a question.
Thank you, Judge
Happy to
Taylor.
answer it.
Appreciate you. Last but not least, the man himself, Prosecutor Durrett. How are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you?
Good.
Okay, so my budget is pretty straightforward. I was able to make some, do a little bit of modest trimming. Some of it, well, this isn't going to be 100% accurate because, as you can see in one of my letters, I have made a request for grade changes for 2 of my employees. Those both passed JSAP. So next month they'll be in front of personnel and then I guess finance and budget because it's going to involve a slight change in pay. I don't know how much because I don't, off the top of my head, know the different grade ranges. So the top figure on salary, the full-time salaries, is going to go up a little bit, and I assume that in doing so that some of the other Social Security and whatnot, that those will go up and everything else. One thing that, or a couple things that I did, three things I did is I did reduce my part-time salaries by $10,000 simply by looking back at in the past. I kind of throw out 2020 because that was, I mean, we shut down a whole lot of stuff in terms of part-time and we even cut back on some hours. So I kind of throw that out. But looking back at 18 and 19, we haven't had as much. That mainly goes to law clerks. We've got 6 law clerks, I believe. And so they tend to work anywhere from 15 to 20 hours a week, work more in the summer. But in the past, we've consistently been under that 65,000 mark. So I figured I could cut a little bit there. And then looking at some of the travel expenses, travel and common carrier, in the past, we haven't consistently used as much as we have requested. So I trimmed a little bit there, not a whole lot. I mean, that was $600 between the 2 of those. So the overall is close to $21,000, but like I said, that'll probably change, assuming that the court approves the 2 grade changes that have gone through JSAP, because those will involve some pay increases. So that being said, I'd be willing to answer any questions anybody has.
I'll start out on something, you know, it's been probably longer than I remember, but we funded some additional prosecuting positions for you, right?
Yes.
And that, they got there right about the time COVID hit, is that correct?
Yes.
So my question for you is, do you think those are having an impact, or we have yet to be seen because we didn't really have any?
It's hard to tell. I would say yes, but right now it's just trying to, looking at that through the lens of COVID is going to give you a skewed view because
Yeah.
I think that they are, because I think that if we didn't have those positions, then my deputies would be handling 450 cases instead of 400. And so it's would make it a lot more difficult for us to handle it. It's kind of like, we're in a hole trying to dig our way out, and we've got a couple extra shovels, and it's a pretty deep hole, and, trying to find a way out of it. Those positions have helped, but COVID just kind of wiped out all the progress that we had made.
Right.
And I think the same thing with the Public Defender's Office. We had worked well with the new positions that you all gave them. We had, I think, been making some bit of progress, and then COVID comes in and wipes out a lot of the things that we had done. So it's really hard to tell. I look at it as how much worse it could have been if we hadn't had those extra positions. So,
Great. Well, I mean, I think a lot about you guys' office. I think a lot about the judges and stuff too in the public defender's office when we keep hearing about this backlog. So what I say to you is please keep us informed. This backlog of cases that you guys are going to get burdened with, please let us know what resources you need. I mean, that's absolutely a essential service that the county provides, and I want you to try to keep us informed. If you need something that you think will speed that up or help you out, please let us know.
I think the main thing is for us to just press on forward. And we got a lot of work ahead of us, and we've got a lot of cases that have been just sitting there over the past year or so, and so we're just going to have to roll our sleeves up and get to work and start trying a lot of cases and trying to look at where between us and the Public Defender's Office and other private attorneys where we can get cases resolved. It's going to be trying to be as efficient as possible and as quickly as possible.
Well, I appreciate you guys and I appreciate your staff.
I appreciate that.
JP Wilson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I probably should know that, but what was a normal backlog of cases in the past, and what is it now?
Right. Well, the best way I can determine backlog is by the average number of cases that my deputies have at any given point. And during the it's always seemed to fluctuate some, and that's a lot of that is based on the number of filings each year. But if you go back to 2019, I would say that deputies were handling anywhere from the low end, the very low end, would be about 150 cases at any given point, and that's felony cases sitting in their office at any given time. And so on average, it would be from a low end of 150 to a high end of 200. And right now, it's starting to come back down, but during COVID, it was up well over 400. Now we're starting to see that number tick down a little bit. We're getting more cases resolved, but also we're having a lot more failures to appear.
So around 400 felony cases?
400 is probably the best peak. So we're working our way down from 400. So essentially, it more than doubled, I'd say, our backlog.
It's going to take some effort to work through, isn't it?
It is. It's going to take a lot of effort.
Thank you.
Other questions for Prosecutor Durrett?
Nothing? I'm not complaining.
We're being easy tonight. I don't
Yeah,
really know
I know.
what the deal is.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
right.
we appreciate
Thank
you,
you
sir.
much.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for letting us ask questions. So that ends our budget preview. As you guys know, I've added extra meetings. What my goal is to walk through all the budgets. I want to start passing these at the September budget meeting. So what that means is I want everybody to be prepared to pass budgets in September. So if you have questions about this stuff, please reach out to the elected officials, the department heads, get your questions answered. Bring those answers back to the committee if you think they're beneficial for everybody. I want to share all that, some shared resources, but what we don't want to do is I don't want anybody to get caught in September having a question that they didn't get answered, because we need to move that along in September. With that, I think we're to public comments.
Hello, is that on?
You're ready.
Okay, thank you. Beth Koger, I live in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I have just a couple of items I wanted to bring to the court's attention tonight. I want to give an update on the condition at the Public Defender's Office. I think most of you know about that. A man from Otis
Ms.
Elevator.
Kerr, I would like to talk about budgets on the issues on the agenda. Do you have any comments on those?
I do, Mr. Chairman, but I have a comment about this first. And the Washington County Code ordinance says there shall also be a 12-minute public comment period at the end of each committee meeting, period. Nothing, it says nothing about what's on the agenda.
Well, I'd like for you to respect our work. That's another committee's jurisdiction, and I would like to keep that separate.
With all due respect.
But please go ahead.
Your
time's ticking. Please go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to bring you up to date. The elevator at the Public Defender's Office is still not working. A man from Otis Elevator came and compared the wiring in that elevator with the wiring in another elevator, and the wiring is the same. And the Otis Elevator man left saying, I don't know what's wrong with the elevator. So I think the county needs to look into getting someone else to look at that elevator. It's been over 4 months and it hasn't worked. The air conditioning is running now, but there are no temperature controls. So one room might be 60 degrees. One room might be 82 degrees. The roof is still leaking. There's still damp carpets. There's still a mildew smell. There's still trash cans collecting water. And if you haven't been to see this building, I wish you would each go. Now, to my comments about, I would like to comment briefly on something that came up when Coroner Morris was speaking about the American Recovery Fund. And I'm not sure if the court knows this, but I've been watching videos from the National Association of Counties, and they define an essential employee as any work performed by an employee of the state, local, or tribal government, work involved in the regular interactions or regularly handling equipment or items that have been handled by other people. So I would think that would certainly fall under the coroner's duty, and it provides for a premium pay of $13 per hour in addition to the regular pay, and that can be retroactive. It doesn't have to be just something from the new Recovery Act. So I just want to make you aware of that, and I have more information on that if anybody would like it. Thank you very much.
More public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to make a statement that it is not up to you to chide members of the public about what is and isn't appropriate for them to speak about during public comment sessions when there's nothing in our ordinance that limits what they're able to talk about. It's not your decision, and I think that it is completely inappropriate for you to be doing that. Thank you.
Public comments. This meeting's adjourned.